Hey guys, welcome to the RAMZPAUL show, the evening edition. Friday night is Friday, February 7th. Thank you all for being here. If you're new to the show, welcome. We do the show Monday through Friday. Monday through Thursday is a daily show in the morning at 11 a.m. Central or noon Eastern. We have a lot of fun. We go over the news. Friday, we do it in the evening, this time, 8 p.m. Central, and it's a little bit more informal. And I post a number if you have a question, you want to call into the show, that's fine. Sometimes people do. What it is a StreamYard link, and all you have to do is click on it. You don't have to have a camera. In fact, you could turn your camera off if you're worried about it and just ask a question. And it's kind of like a Rush Limbaugh show type of thing. If you have a question or comment, just say it real fairly quick, and then I will address it. Because it's always, what's your question, caller? And they ask you to get to it really quick. So do that. It's fun though. We've had some people call in. So I'll post that here in a second. And we are streaming on YouTube, Rumble, and on X. And be sure to like and subscribe me on YouTube and on Rumble, and follow me on X at RAMZPAUL. I do appreciate it. I have a lot of fun on X, and I post a lot on there. A couple other things. If you want to support me and get some exclusive content, like every Friday today, I had a essay or a column exclusive to my supporters on Substack. And every Tuesday night, we have a roundtable that is exclusive for our Substack people. So go ahead and sign up for that. I'd appreciate that. And even if you don't want to become a member, go ahead and subscribe anyway, because Monday through Thursday, I typically put out just a free column. So there's no reason not to sign up. And I used to be on Gumroad. I am still on Gumroad, but I'm slowly migrating off just because Gumroad has some technical issues. And I was seeing that beforehand. I sent out my links, and the email would be like a day before people get it. Whereas when I update my Substack column in the morning, I hear a beep. I have the app on my phone. I hear a beep just like that. So it gets out really quick. So I do appreciate that. So Substack, I think, is just a better tool right now. And again, I'll keep Gumroad up, but I really don't update it anymore. And same with Group App. And also Gumroad, I heard they're going away from PayPal. There's some technical issue there. So Substack is just a better platform. And let me throw out, in case you want to call in, and I'll do this a couple times, to call in for a question or a comment. And again, you don't need to show your face. You can turn your camera off. And let me just copy it there. I put there, and I'll put it here. You could call in and check that out. So, I put an extra mark there. So let me do that again. There we go. All right. So if you want to call in, please do. It usually makes the show fun. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about in the news today. A lot of stuff is happening this week. And with Trump, it's great as a content creator. I think that's what they call us now. Content creators. I'm an influencer. I think I'm the only content creator and influencer who wasn't paid by the U.S. Agency for International Development. I'm not Vosh. I wasn't getting millions of dollars from the taxpayer. So I do appreciate your super chats and comments. And if you do want to interact with the show and ask a question, YouTube has super chat. Rumble has rants. That's equivalent to super chat. Right below here, let me see if I got that. Yeah, right here, Powerchat. That's another way you can send that in. And Powerchat you can send during the show or after the show, and I will get it. And then Stream Elements has the tip feature. So, hopefully Trump gets a no tax on tips. That'd be great, because I'll count all this as tips. I don't know how that will work. I think they just mean like waiters and waitresses, but you could define almost anything as a tip, right? I could imagine no tax on tips. The entire economy is like, just pay me minimum wage, but give me a big tip at the end of the year. It's like a bonus, but it's a tip. I don't know how they'll regulate that. I'm sure they'll figure that out, but we'll see. We'll see if that gets in. In general, I've been pretty positive with Trump. Every once in a while, he throws out a wacky idea. The one I'm not really that big on is making Canada a 51st state. And did you see Trudeau? He was caught like on a hot mic where he's telling his people he thinks it's real. He thinks Trump's not trolling. He really wants that. I don't want that because if we took in all the Canadians, it'd be just another leftist state, and then the presidency would always be the Democrats. So I don't really want it unless we did the Gaza solution, right? That was his other plan. You just take the land and remove the people. I don't know where we're going to put the Canadians, but if we took the Canadians and just moved them elsewhere, I guess it's pretty nice land up there. We could develop it, put some casinos up there, and get the minerals. But I don't want all the Canadians. I love the Canadian people in general, like the real Canadians, but they've had a lot of immigration problems too, and they have their shit lib element probably more than we do. At least in the eastern provinces. I guess the western provinces are a little bit better. So yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the Canadian thing and the whole Gaza thing. Like, we're going to own the Gaza Strip. And we're going to move the people out. It's just someone they'll love. They can play and have fun in this new area. And we're going to build beautiful like casinos. It's really weird. And a lot of people got concerned, like, I don't want to die for Israel. I don't want to join the army and fight in the Gaza Strip. But Trump clarified, no, we're not going to have any troops there. So I don't think this is going to happen. Sometimes Trump just says wild things to see what comes up. And sometimes it's effective. You know, it is effective. Like he made the threat to Panama would take over the canal. Because the Panama kept raising the rates for our ships to go through. And guess whose ships get to go through for free now after Trump threatened to take the canal? Yeah, it worked. And he was complaining about the Chinese, the Panama was leasing the management of the Panama Canal to the China. And Trump didn't like that. And guess who's been kicked out of Panama now? Yeah, the Chinese. So you gotta admit, whether you love Trump or hate him, his negotiating style, it does work. And it works because you never know, is he serious about some of this stuff or not? If you always knew he was bluffing, it wouldn't work. But some of the stuff, I think he's kind of serious. I don't think it was a bluff. Like Panama, I don't think that was a bluff. If they kept overcharging our ships and China kept being in there, I'm sure he would have taken it. So you just never know. I would think the Canadian thing would be a bluff, but I don't know. He did say he won't use military force to take Canada, but he would use tariffs and economic pressure. And we dropped the tariffs on both Mexico and Canada last week when they agreed to, protect the border and try to fight against terrorists and fentanyl. But he says only 30 days, and he'll see if they work out their trade imbalances with us. So that could be back on the table too. We will see where that goes. All right. We got a lot of stuff this week. I think the big news this week was the whole I want to call it U.S. aid, but it's not an aid program. It's the United States Agency for International Development. It was founded in the early 60s under JFK. It really had nothing. It wasn't a charity organization. It was to coordinate basically our foreign involvement with the CIA, Department of Defense, and others. Hey, I got a caller. Welcome to the RAMZPAUL. Jijatus, welcome. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks, Paul. I was just going to say I like the idea of USAID because you don't get led into this false belief that it's all about aid when we know that the reasoning for this whole agency is all about fraud, really, and corruption, and the aid part of it is just really just the smokescreen, the cover for what's actually happening. I'm just wondering, just to ask you a question about it, is do you think that this is really the tip of the iceberg in terms of the corruption of the deep state, or do you think that this is like the mother lode of it. They've actually, in fact, got to the core of the problem, which is this USAID, and all the other departments, all the agencies aren't anywhere near as bad as this one. This is actually, in fact, the worst of the worst, and we've caught the worst of it. They must have known about this agency right from the beginning. I've never heard of it. I just wonder how many other people like me that I'd never heard of this organization.
Yeah, a lot of Americans hadn't until recently. The people in the know knew about it, but yeah, everyone's heard of the CIA and the Department of Defense, the State Department, but the United States Agency for International Development, that is a pretty new one. So thanks for calling in. I'll answer your question. Appreciate it. And yeah, so thanks for calling in, and I'll get to your question here. Yeah, the aid part, Bernie Sanders, it was crazy. He put out a note, oh no, now little African children are going to starve. Oh, why are we getting rid of U.S. aid? And I'm like, dude, I mean, he's either stupid or he's disingenuous or maybe both. It has nothing to do. Again, it's not aid. It's Agency for International Development. It was never about charity. That wasn't their function. Their function was in the 60s in the Cold War to counter Soviet propaganda and to coordinate with the CIA, Department of Defense, and the State Department. That was the goal. It had nothing to do with black children with flies on their faces in Africa. And it's so funny, as Sanders said that, I'm like, oh, okay, do you consider Hillary Clinton some poor child? Bill Kristol, some poor child? Like Hillary Clinton, they got like $84 million out of this organization. Extremely corrupt. Now, the other question, is this a mother lode or is there other areas of corruption? Well, Elon Musk, they just started with this agency. So I think they knew this was the big one they had to get a hold of. But now, and I'll show you the clip, Elon Musk and his tech bros, they got them, all the people, the leftists, they hate the tech bros because they're like young guns. They're like all these young guys. I think one guy's like 20 years old, one's 19. They're young, but they're like geniuses. And it's just got them in a frenzy, but because they're really figuring all this stuff out. And they're going to be, according to Trump, he said, did a great job on the U.S. Agency for International Development, but I want you to look at the Department of Defense now. And it's like, that's going to be an interesting one. Try to look in those books. Because you remember the Department of Defense, every year they say, oh, well, we had an audit and we failed the audit, but no one knows what the hell's going on. Money's just going everywhere. And you think that your defense spending is going to get new cool weapons. You'd be surprised, dear viewer. That's not exactly where it's going. I bet there's been a lot of defense money for the defense of the United States. We got to spend it on transgender dwarves in Amazon, So I do think there is quite a bit. Hey, I got another caller. Thank you. John, what's up? Welcome to the Ramsey Paul Show.
Hi, can you hear me?
I hear you. Perfect. What's your question, John?
Awesome. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Excellent.
I was wondering, Trump is amazing on international policy, and international relations and everything. I wonder, I like J.D. Vance on domestic policy. Would it be possible, I guess, in your ideal America, to split the two roles where the vice president, J.D. Vance, would kind of look at domestic policy and things and kind of coordinate the states and the governors and kind of be that figurehead, whereas Trump would be more outward looking?
Yeah, great question. And thank you, John, for joining the show, and I'll answer your question. And so, yeah, let me answer this question. I'll go back to the last question. Great caller. You got two callers. That makes the show fun. Well, Trump is the executive. He's responsible for domestic and foreign. And I know there's been a lot of stuff foreign focused, but not really. Immigration is domestic. And this whole USAID, it's both foreign and domestic. And we'll get more into that. But so that's been domestic too. But Trump, they just announced, and we'll see this. He talked about his economic plan. So I think that's going to be key. No tax on tips and some other acts that he wants to get through, some tax cuts that sound pretty good if we could get these through. So I don't think Trump is going to delegate all this. I do think that what Trump has done, for whatever reason, he's coming into this term a lot more prepared than the first term. And obviously he's got more experience. He's been through the first term. I don't think he understood the corruption of Washington. And, he thought, hey, I won the presidency. This is a democracy. The people have elected me to implement my policies. And he found in Washington, they just said, no, we're not going to do that. And they're like, well, what do you mean you're not going to do that? You're part of the executive branch. Yeah, fuck you. We're not going to do that. I'm going to get troops out of Syria. Yeah, we're not going to do that. And part of the pushback, I think even before he got in office this time, they understood a lot of the pushback was funded by the U.S. Agency for International Development. So getting back to the first question, excellent first question, by the way, thank you. And I got some super chats, I'll get to them. Is this like the mother lode, or is there other areas? I think other areas, there's a lot of waste. There's probably more waste than money in the Department of Defense by far. However, I think this is the mother lode in shutting down the activists, because every shitlib it seemed, and every shitlib publication, every shitlib streamer, like allegedly Vosh and all those, were being funded by tax dollars to push propaganda. And if you guys get the chance, I retweeted him, or reposted him, I guess they call that, on X, Z-Man. He had every Friday, he does a great podcast, and he did a good podcast explaining the U.S. Agency of International Development, how it got started, how it changed, and how they use it. It's very complicated, but they use multiple LLCs and nonprofits to kind of funnel the money. And they get taxpayer money, then they get corporations to give money, and corporations, they get kind of pressure to give money. But what they do, which is a little deceptive, not everyone understands where your dollar's going. And he used an example. Let's say you have an organization, nonprofit. Yeah, we want to have a group. What we focus on is helping girls that get pregnant, give them skills and blah, blah, blah. I don't know, help them. They don't have parents, so we're going to help them. And everyone's like, we'll get to that cause. It's not controversial. Yeah, that's a good cause. Oh, yeah, we'll give a cause to fight cancer. Yeah, we'll give to that. But then that organization, they secretly donate money to, let's say, an organization that tries to get you to cut your son's dick off or your girl's boobs off because they're trapped in the wrong body. And it's very complicated how all that works. So this is kind of tearing across the veil that we see how all this corruption works. And if you ever look at like Bill Kristol and how he had, it looked like a drug cartel. It almost looked like a money laundering operation. It's like a whole graph, and he's got like 100 LLCs, nonprofits that are moving money around. And you don't do that if you're being honest. If you have a lot of these companies, the Bidens did this, the Clintons do this. It's a sign of corruptions. A lot of times people have an LLC. There's nothing I do. There's a lot of people have an LLC. But when you have 100 of them, it's like, what the hell are you doing? Because it's a way that like drug cartels used to move money and try to launder it. So I do think USAID was a mother lode for shitlib activism. I think they indirectly funded Soros. We always thought Soros was funding prosecutors to allow criminals run free. Well, he was actually being paid by your tax dollars. So it really wasn't his money. And so I do think this is cutting this off a lot. And like the Antifa riots or BLM, a lot of that was funded by USAID. And again, they don't fund it directly. They give it to an organization, and then that organization looks okay, but they give it to another organization, it's a little shadier. That organization gives some to the, maybe funding Antifa to riot and get them out of prison and organize it. And so a lot of these riots and pushback were funded by your tax dollars. And because Musk, they had an idea of what was happening here. And most people never heard of USAID, even though it was very powerful. A lot of people knew that Samantha Power, she was ahead of it, and they started to see wherever she would go in the world, there'd be a color revolution. And that was part of the USAID. They were using it to overthrow governments that we don't like. We did that in Ukraine. We tried to do that in Georgia. Hungary ran into this a lot because we don't like Orban because he didn't allow immigrants. So the USAID, when communism fell, they were no longer about opposing communism. They were about implementing liberal democracy. And liberal democracy, what these people think of is like cultural Marxism, like let's get a bunch of non-whites into our country. Let's bring Muslims in. Let's preach about the evil of whiteness. Let's push feminism. Let's put abortion. Let's push homosexuality and transgenderism. All of that became their primary mission. And so I do think this is really going to hurt them. They're going to push back, but this was key. And I got a couple of super chats, so thank you very much for this. Vance pushing back on that Doge kid was the most white-pilled moment I've seen. The journalists' cancel mob feels like it's coming to an end. And I'm sorry, it's a little hard for me to read. I have a cataract I got to get out. I was just waiting for this year because of the new health policy to do that. So sometimes it's hard for me to read it. Yeah, and we're going to get into that. If you guys don't know what happened, one of these Doge guys, they're real young. He did a post on X or Twitter a few years ago. It's racist all the way. We got to cancel him and fire him. And initially he resigned. But J.D. Vance then... Elon Musk said, well, I think I should bring him on. What do you guys think? And he did a poll. And everyone was like, yeah, bring him back. Who gives a shit? Fuck this racist bullshit thing. And J.D. Vance piped in and goes, yeah, we'll look at that. He goes, yeah, you should bring him back in. We shouldn't just we got to stop this cancel culture. And we're finally getting to the point that someone wants, I've heard people say this. We ever get to the point when someone said, oh, you're Hitler, you're racist, you're a fascist, you're a Nazi. And if you ever get to the point everyone just laughs at that, I'm just like, oh, shut up. And like, oh, you need to be canceled. And everyone's like, yeah, go fuck yourself. We're not doing that anymore. It all falls apart because that was their whole thing, right? Groups like the SPLC, ADL, and all these groups, the journalists who we have found were being funded by USAID. They were like political commissars. They're not really journalists. Oh, you said something unapproved. We're going to try to get you fired or lose your bank account. But if no one cares anymore, they've lost all their power, right? They've lost all their power. And so they got to be in shock because J.D. Vance, the vice president, said, no, I think you should bring the kid back. What the hell? I don't want to live in this cancel culture. I mean, we're Americans. You should be able to have your opinions. And it's great. I am 100% on that. I think that was a white pilling thing. I love J.D. Vance. You remember certain people on the right were like, oh, he's weird. He's not an incel like we are. He's a weirdo. I'm like, no, he's just been great. Ryan, I don't believe all of this misplacement is just accounting errors. There's something more nefarious and meant to destabilize America from the inside. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing with USAID, and there's a couple things here. There's the issue of was there fraud involved where people were getting kickbacks and getting rich off our tax dollars? And the answer to that is probably yes. But the bigger thing is in many cases, this wasn't technically illegal, but it's something we didn't sign up for. It became what we call the deep state or a parallel state, right? It's supposed to work that the people of the United States vote for the president can implement his vision with Congress. But so we have the Congress, you have the executive branch, and then you have the courts. If you ever, school, that's how it was taught. But we developed this whole deep state thing that had no oversight. Like USAID, they had no oversight. They just did whatever the fuck they wanted. They got all the money from the Treasury they wanted. The Treasury never said no. So they were looting off this and giving it to causes that were horrific. Again, promoting child sex changes, promoting illegal immigration, trying to overthrow governments. And part of the problem that they weren't helping the other agencies, and at the end, before they finally shut down USAID. I mean, it's not all shut down. A lot of it has now gone back under the State Department, under Rubio. That's where it should be. But part of it is the government started to have problems because the State Department would be looking to do a deal with some, banana republic or some Islamic country, let's say like Pakistan. And then they wouldn't know. The USAID and their NGOs would be pushing transgenderism or feminism and pissing off the Pakistani government. And the State Department would be like, what? We're not doing that. Are we doing that? What the hell? What's going on? They had no idea. So we had this like rogue agency just did whatever the hell it wanted. No oversight. The State Department had no control over it. The CIA had no control, or the Department of Defense. It just did its own thing. And I remember originally it was to help to coordinate the three departments, not to run the show. But this whole agency went rogue. And so they're trying to bring that back in. That was another problem. But you're right. It's just not the fraud. Part of the fraud pisses me off that people were being paid off. Like Politico, they put out a thing. Oh, we didn't get a dime of taxpayer money. We just happen to get like 8,000 subscriptions from the government. Well, what is that? That's getting government money. That'd be like, oh no, the guys, Ramsey Paul's not getting a dime of money, but hey, this NGO that's funded by the taxpayers, they just 10,000 people decided to of these government entities decided to be part of my Substack. But it's not government money. It's just some charity doing that. See, this is how they did it, and it's outrageous. So yeah, the biggest part, the problem, wasn't the fraud or even the dollar amount, because you hear the shit libs, it's only 100 billion or whatever, 50 billion. But, well, first of all, we need it adds up, 50 billion here, 50 billion there. Pretty soon you're talking real money. But besides that, it's just not the dollar amount, and it's just not the fraud that may have gone on. And some of the fraud wasn't even technically illegal. You'd be head of one of these NGO charity organizations, and you make $300,000 a year. To me, that's pretty sketchy, right? You're supposed to be helping people out. You're making that big of a salary, but your salary's being paid by taxpayer dollars indirectly. But probably a lot of the stuff was legal. I'm not saying it was that. The big problem is we didn't have control as Americans of our policy because it was being controlled by an unelected group and the deep state. So getting back to the first question of the caller coming in, I do think it will help. I think this is a mother lode for woke activism, and it's almost like a stake through the heart of that. Now, the biggest dollar amounts I predict will come out of the Department of Defense when Musk goes through there and they figure out what the hell those people are doing. Rowhouse Rant, thank you. The video and information here does not surprise you, Rams. All right, let me take a look at this here. Let's see how long this is. Okay, we'll take a look here. And thank you for the rant. And again, you can give rants on Rumble, Super Chats on YouTube, and Powerchats on the link below. Here we go.
Okay, so we knew the U.S. government runs a $2 trillion deficit every year. We're in debt almost $40 trillion. And we also knew that anytime anyone tries to cut anything in Washington, the whole city screams bloody murder. Okay, so the question is just why? Well, now we know. The money is all going to them. It's like round tripping to them. New York Times, getting paid. Politico, getting paid. Bill Kristol, perennial warmonger, getting paid.
Yeah, Bill Kristol, he's a guy that is always advocating wars, and he's number one is advocating his ethno-state, which Trump does too. But then number two is fighting Russia. He's the one that had like a drug cartel level of LLCs and nonprofits kind of slushing this money around. What a piece of shit. We need him, Hillary Clinton, and Samantha Powers. They need to be on the docket. Pull their passports so they don't flee to Israel, and they got to answer for what they've done. Horrible.
Ukraine getting paid like a...
Yeah, this is another thing. You remember all the Ukraine media that was pushing the ghost of Kiev, and they helped to murder Gonzalo Lira, dox him. He was an American. I interviewed him, and he was American that just opposed the war in Ukraine, and they murdered him, the Ukrainian government. All those journalists there, they were fake. They were paid for by your tax dollars. And most of the people that were promoting the Ukrainian war on X and Twitter before then, again, they weren't even real. They were being paid by your tax dollars.
11 out of 12 publications in Ukraine getting paid.
Incredible.
Viktor Orban, who's the prime minister of Hungary, was saying that he's very popular in Hungary. His political opposition funded by USAID.
Yeah, 100%. I knew that when I was there, the NGOs would come in.
In Poland, the left-wing political opposition funded by USAID, and on and on and on it goes.
BBC. You wonder why everyone in the UK.
Paid.
So yeah.
Like
I couldn't believe the BBC's getting paid.
Yeah, we're the second biggest funder of the BBC. I thought the BBC was funded by the British government. Well, they do, but the second biggest revenue comes in from them is you, dear viewer. You pay for the British Broadcasting Corporation to tell you that you're a racist and you should be censored, right? That's what you're paying, what you paid for.
Every left-wing organization in the world seems to be getting paid by this slush fund at USAID, which disperses about $50 billion a year. That's $1 billion a week. That's actually a lot of money.
Yeah, I know. That's not much. It's only 50 billion. Yeah, only 50 billion.
And so it makes you wonder, the left in general tries to portray itself as a movement of the people, that it's grassroots. This is the exact opposite. This is AstroTurf. This is basically money coming from the top down out of Washington to fund all of these groups, maybe not even in the United States, like all over the world. So it makes you wonder, what is the real level of local support for these left-wing policies all over the world?
Not much. And we saw that with like Antifa, because there's a big question of what happened with Antifa once Biden got in. Because a lot of them on the streets, the ones you see, they're mostly, a lot of them are transgender, a lot of them are drug addicts, and of course, probably a lot of them committed suicide or overdosed. But still, like, where did they go overnight? Well, their funding was cut off because USAID was funding NGOs that were funding these, they round up these drug addicts on the streets, pay them some money, tell them, hey, we'll get you out of jail. Go ahead and burn shit, throw bricks, we'll cover you. And then once Biden got in, they had different priorities, so they cut the funding. So these guys, they no longer had that gig. So a lot of these left-wing movements, they're not grassroots of the people. People don't even believe in it. I don't think leftism is even, I never thought leftism was that popular, at least wokeism. I mean, some leftism may be like, yeah, I want free healthcare and stuff like that. I think there's some popularity to that. I mean, there's issues with that. But this whole idea, like, a hairy man with a beard that wears a dress, he's actually a woman and belongs in the girls' restroom. And if he's in there masturbating to girls, it's your fault. You're homophobic or transphobic if you object to that. I'm like, is that really popular? I mean, how many people really want to sexually mutilate their children? I mean, some Hollywood actresses do, but I think this was mostly a psyop by these organizations to try to get you to think it was more popular than ever. Ukraine war. Again, they paid a lot of those actors and actresses that went to see Zelensky. They said they paid him to go there because they knew that, Americans are dumb. If they see their favorite actor and actress supporting the war, that will get them excited. So we'll pay these people. So it was all fake. There's not that much support for this bullshit. But people are willing to take the money and willing to promote this. And then some stupid people, they fall for it, but they don't realize it was all fake. Just like these mothers that bought into, all of my kids happen to be trans. What are the odds? And they virtue signal it. And then all of a sudden they're going to find out, oh my God, no one really cares about this anymore. Hey, you got another caller. It's a good show for callers. 009, how you doing? What's your question?
I'm doing good. So apparently in this USAID thing, they spent $10 million for making mice, rats, and monkeys gay.
I saw that, yeah.
It wasn't enough they were turning the frogs gay. They had to make the monkeys, mice, and rats transgender too.
Is your rat there, or is that a mouse or a rat?
It's a rat.
Is he gay or is he straight?
No, he's straight. And I don't condone these experiments on these rats or these mice that making them gay and shit.
Yeah.
But my question is, what can we do to protect our animals from these sexual freaks?
Wow, great question. Thank you for calling in 009. And I'll answer it here. I'll just remove you and answer it. Yeah, and by the way, 009, he's a great guy. He's on a round table. He's real funny, and he trains rats and stuff. It's just he's like a Renaissance man. Well, I think if we cut off the funding, they're not going to do this. So, what Elon Musk wants to do. It's so funny because the Democrats are against this, but it's like, why are you against this? You're supposed to be for democracy. Democracy is self-rule. And he's saying, Elon Musk, like every payment that's done by the government should be transparent. So you should be able to see it. And sometimes you have to hide names. So let's say if we're spending, I don't know, $1 billion paying spies, obviously you can't tell the names of the people that are spies. Although I think we should reveal confidential informants in the United States. That would be fun. I have some suspicions. But obviously you have to hide that. But all this, so if you're going to do like a study to try to make a dog transgender or whatever, that should be out in the open so people can see it. And like, well, wait a minute. Why are you spending money on that? And 009 wasn't joking. That was a real thing. They were actually doing that with our money. And that's why I joked about the stuff I would love. This wasn't jokes. Like when I said they funded in Colombia a transgender opera. You did. Just so you know, dear viewer, you funded a transgender opera in Colombia. And number one, why should our tax dollars go for that? And I don't support that sort of thing in the first place. But even if it was just a regular opera, we shouldn't be funding that in Colombia. They can do their own opera. But certainly we shouldn't be funding a transgender opera. And this is a real thing. And there's these stories that happen. And if you had transparency, a lot of this would disappear because people, so getting back to the animal abuse, is like, no, do we really want to fund all this crap? And I think the answer would be no, people don't want to fund this. So I think that is a great thing. And Rojas, thank you for your link on Rant. That was great. And yeah, keep calling in, guys. Let me put out the, I'll put out the link again in case people join. On Friday nights, we're a little bit more informal, and we have a call-in night. You can call in, and all I asked is just keep the show interesting. And everyone that's called in has been perfect. Just, ask your question, and then we'll move on. Just keeps it a little more entertaining. All right. So good show. Haven't even got into I haven't even got into some of the stuff here, but this is great. Trump, he's just like, he's on fire here. This is right before the show. I don't know if you guys saw this. He revoked. He pulled it out. There is no need for Joe Biden to continue to receive access to classified information. Well, there's no need for Joe Biden to get that information for many reasons. Probably one of the just practical reason is even when Joe Biden was president, he probably really didn't get classified information because he was fucking senile. He was a vegetable. So there's no need to give classified information to someone just like, we all have seen Joe, right? They all admit it now. They all admit the whole sharpest attack. That was all a psyop. They all admit. No, we understood he couldn't think. But yeah, but also we don't really need this. So he pulled his access. Joe, you're fired. Make America great again. And so part of the issue wouldn't be going to Joe, but his little cronies. So again, Trump is being smart this time. He has a plan how to cut off the head of his opposition. He understands where the funding is. Because if they cut off the money, they're going to bring a lot of these people to heel. And I think that was a great thing. Hilarious. He cut Joe Biden off. And good job there. Good job there. And so that is what's happened there. Okay. Some people, one of the questions was, here we go. Well, will they go on and do other stuff? And yeah, here we go. Let me see this here. This is going to be good. This is talking about Musk going to investigate next the Department of Defense. There's going to be a lot of money here, let me tell you.
Mr. President, I wonder what you make of the criticism from Democrats that these staff reductions, the cuts that Elon Musk and Doge are doing are an unlawful power grab. And is there anything you've told Elon Musk he cannot touch?
Well, we haven't discussed that much. I'll tell him to go here, go there. He does it. He's got a very capable group of people. Very, very capable. They know what they're doing. They'll ask questions and they'll see immediately as somebody gets tongue-tied that they're either crooked or don't know what they're doing.
That's true.
We have very smart people going in. So I've instructed him go into education, go into military, go into other things as we go along.
And President Trump has the right to do this. People say, well, Elon Musk wasn't elected. It doesn't matter. He's not operating on his own authority. He's operating on the president's authority. The president has this right to designate people to do this sort of thing. Just like Fauci. Remember, they had Fauci do this stuff.
And they're finding massive amounts of fraud, abuse, waste, all of these things. So, but I will pick out a target and I say go in. There could be areas that we won't, but I think everything's fertile. You know, we're a government. We have to be open. And as an open government, I don't know, I guess you could say maybe some high intelligence or something. And I'll do that myself if I have to. But generally speaking, I'll just say go. But he will be looking at education pretty quickly, and he will be looking at military too.
So education and Department of Defense will be on the next schedule. And education, they can just abolish that whole department. There's no need for that. That can be done on the states. And I think that's that would be a good thing. So we're going to have a lot of fun. This isn't going to end because I'm sure they're going to find a lot of crazy stuff in the Department of Education. And the Department of Defense is a big one because it's so huge. And there's going to be a lot of money, I predict, that's being spent that has nothing to do with making our country safer. And I think that is definitely the case here. And Elon Musk said, here we go. And they're trying to pit Trump against Elon Musk, but it's not really working. It's very transparent. But here it is. And then I have got another caller, but this is USAID is driving the radical left crazy, and there's nothing they can do about it because the way in which the money has been spent, so much of it fraudulently, is totally unexplainable. The corruption is levels rarely seen before. Close it down, Elon Musk says. Yes, Mr. President, close down that corrupt agency. So that's good. Hey, another caller, K-Max McDonald. K-Max, great to see you. What's your question, K-Max?
Yeah, Paul, I'll just stick to the format. When you used to have Kevin McDonald on the show, maybe it's been 6 or 7 years now, but he would always lament, we don't have a billionaire on our side, Rams. Every single billionaire is against us. And would it change the world if we had at the time he said Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates type. So yeah, I guess at this point, do you feel Musk comes the closest, doesn't quite go? Or do you think he's in the tradition of what Kevin McDonald said? And I guess he does the best he can, but is he the closest thing you've ever seen to that mega power being somewhat on your side? Not fully, but I don't know, your views of Musk and what would we be right now without Elon Musk? How different?
Yeah, it's amazing. And we got to thank a lot of you that we have Elon Musk. And there's another billionaire that is kind of on our side, and he's president of the United States, right? So we got two I know of. Elon Musk, I'm sure he's read 4chan and Poll. I have no doubt. He knows the memes. And he's been influenced by our media in general on our side. A lot of people have. They really have. More people, I think, have been influenced by us than they'll come out and say. And we see a lot of the same language that we've used is now in the mainstream. I'm super excited. This is really good news. And everything's not perfect, and it doesn't mean I agree with everything Donald Trump does or everything that Elon Musk supports. I sharply disagreed with Elon Musk on H-1B visas. I'm not a fan of Trump's position on Israel. I would like to see foreign aid cut to Israel. I'd like to see it cut to every country. So I do think, though, that we got to be very happy with the progress we've seen so far. Is it perfect? No. But it's just really crazy. Like people that always try to be blackpilling. It's like, we got what we wanted. Trump is going full speed ahead. And while it's not perfect, I couldn't imagine anything better, right? In realistic terms. And I think there's a lot of people, they just always want to, no matter what you do, even in real life, there's some people I've always joked, you could give them a bag of gold that's worth $10 million and they would just start bitching about how heavy it is to carry the bag around. There's some people that no matter what you do, they're going to be unhappy. And that's just it. I can't really worry about those people anymore. That's just how they are. It's part of the grift, I guess. A lot of people like to hear that. I don't really get it. I get it. I like calling things the way they are. Some things are bad, but when great things are being done, it's like, yeah, but what about this? He's still a stooge of who. And I mean, yeah, but look at all the good thing he's doing. So I'm really happy. And JD Vance, look at him. He's defending someone like, no, he shouldn't. The vice president of the United States is like, no, you shouldn't get rid of someone just because they made a racist post. I don't give a shit about that. We got to get beyond this. And guess what? He got hired back. That's huge. That's huge. And you're like, oh, JD Vance is weird because he wore eyeliner. I mean, oh, come on. So it's just, I am so thankful that, and one of the differences Trump has done this time is, and this is old guys, this is something you can really learn from. And I really agree with. All these old people are bitching about the young guns that Elon Musk brought in. Well, here's the thing. You're the sharpest when you're in your early 20s. You are. And you get more experience when you get older. But raw intelligence, you're the best when you're young. And we need to understand that. We need to encourage young people and use them to do amazing things. That's what Elon Musk is doing. But even Trump, he understands. He's brought in a lot of young, energetic people. JD Vance, he's very young. Elon Musk is young. And they're connected. They understand the technology. They understand how things are working. And he really taps into them. Even though Trump may not understand it, he's relying on them. What did Trump do his first term? He did bad things. He brought in his princess daughter, Ivanka, and her husband, Jared Kushner. And that was a disaster. And I'm not saying Ivanka's a bad person, but, Steve Bannon had a quote, I'm not going to say, or was it Steve Miller? Anyway, I think it's best that Ivanka and Jared Kushner, they're out of the loop now. And we have people like Elon Musk and JD Vance. And JD Vance, we had an earlier caller, I think he is an active vice president. I think he does consult with the president a lot. Same with Elon Musk. And they bounce ideas off him. And other people of his staff too. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Tulsi. There's a lot of smart people with different points of views. And I think that's a good thing. I think Trump has really learned his lesson. And I have no problem with that. And I think it's good that we're getting some more young voices in there. And that's helping Trump to be successful. Okay, let's see what else we had here. So Elon Musk, they're going to be going to the Department of Education, which they probably will be shutting down. But then they're also looking to maybe Department of Defense is going to be a big one. All right, we'll take a look some more of this. And thank you guys for being here. And we're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, and on X. And let's take a look at this here. Biden threatened to withhold $1 billion of USAID loan guarantees unless Ukraine fired the prosecutor investigating his son's company. Victoria Nuland. There's certain character names that are always popping up when it comes to doing shitty things and corruption. Victoria Nuland, she's always got her big fat body in the middle of everything. Funded the Ukrainian coup with the USAID money. So we got almost 2 million people died because of this fucking bitch and her meddling in Ukraine. USAID is the heart of the war between Russia and let's take a look at this. I remember this.
It just happened to be that was the assignment I got. I got all the good ones, and so I got Ukraine, and
This is when Biden was vice president.
I remember going over convincing our team or others to convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours. I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch.
Yeah, and what happened there, and it's interesting, Biden forgot to pardon himself, and Trump made note of this. This is, I think, pretty good evidence of treason, because what happened, Ukraine, they had a prosecutor investigating the corruption of his son, Hunter. Hunter, at this point, was being paid by the Ukrainian state monopoly energy company. He had a no-show job. He was a crackhead. But part of that money he was siphoning, bribing daddy. And so they were bribing to get access to the vice president. And the vice president said, you better leave my son alone. Otherwise, we're not going to give you aid money. So this is how corrupt the whole thing is. And again, USAID was in the middle of this corruption. It is interesting. And Trump is acting hard on this. And again, and thanks to Elon Musk and other people, they understood this. President Trump's orders the termination of every single media contract expensed by the General Service Administration. This includes Political, BBC, and Bloomberg. I'm not sure exactly how they were funding BBC. It was through USAID. But with Political, they weren't giving the money directly. What happened, your tax money would go from the Treasury to USAID, which would go to another NGO, maybe another. And then whatever NGO it went to, it would eventually, they would buy subscriptions. I guess in Politico, it's like I have a Substack. By the way, guys, join my Substack. I don't have USAID's not joining my Substack with thousands of subscriptions, but that's what they do. The government, they bought thousands of subscriptions to Politico to help fund Politico. And then now they've cut that. Now Political's in financial problem because real people, why would a real person want to help support some shit-led controlled news media? You can see that for free on CNN, right? So there is no organic support for Politico. They're going to go out of business without taxpayer funding. And good news there. Good news. And the Brits, fuck them. They can fund their own media. Let's see. Here it is. This 009, they had this on... talking about, how they were checking how to make the dogs transgender or something. I don't know. But the stuff they were spending money on, USAID, through their NGOs. One was $8 million study to study the effect of flavored cigarettes on bisexuals and lesbians. So you got a money. So someone's made a good money. They had a job. Like the whole department got $8 million. And we're going to study flavored cigarettes and what effect it has on bisexuals and lesbians. It's just really crazy shit. And all of this should have been transparent. If this was transparent, I don't think people would want to spend our money on this type of stuff. But this is the way it is. Now, they'll try to, a lot of the people, because they make a lot of money in this, they're going to try to fight back. And Thomas Massey, he's a good guy. I'm concerned that the House and Senate will fully fund USAID in March, just like we did in December. I voted no. The argument from Republican leadership will be they need the Democrat votes to pass the spending bill. or there'll be a government shutdown. I don't give a shit. We can't have this organization anymore. And by the way, this is going to be, it could become more of a, it's going to probably go to the Supreme Court, because Trump says this is in the executive area under basically the Treasury Department, Secretary of the State. There's no legal right for a agency to run off amok with no oversight. And so they're going to try to get this back under the oversight of the president. And this is a good thing that is happening here. But I'm sure the blob will fight back and they'll do this. This was great. Hillary Clinton was bitching, and she's the one. We have people that should go to Gitmo. Hillary, Schumer, Bill Kristol, Samantha Powers, Victoria Nuland. We got a lot of good candidates that could go to Gitmo. And this is Hillary. U.S. airlines have gone 16 years without fatal crashes. Then MAGA fired the FAA chief, gutted the Security Advisory Committee, and threatened layoffs. So she's blaming the aircraft where that lesbian helicopter pilot flew her helicopter into the plane. It had nothing to do with budget cuts or anything. But this is the Secretary of State of, not the Secretary of Transportation responded to Hillary on X. This was great. I know you're lashing out because Doge is uncovering your family's obscene grifting via USAID. The Clintons got $84 million. $84 million. So Bernie, it's not poor black kids in Africa getting this money, unless you consider Hillary a poor black child. She got $84 million. But I won't let you lie and distort the facts. The FAA administrator announced he resigned a month before Trump took office. And the air traffic controllers were always exempt from the civil service buyout. So no one left, the air traffic controllers. The previous administration shamelessly used the U.S. Department of Transportation as a slush fund for the Green New Scam, throwing away money and resources on wasteful environmental and social justice projects. We think the Department of Transportation should be for running trains. So did Pete Buttigieg, but he had a definition of running trains, and it wasn't locomotives. Then updating our nation's antiquated air traffic control system. I'm returning this department to its mission of safety by using innovative technology and transportation infrastructure. Your team had its chance and failed. We're moving on without you because the American people want us to make the transportation system great again. And yes, we are bringing the 22-year-olds with us. Damn right. That was an excellent response to that old crook and a little bitch liar. So that was good. This was good. All right. We'll get into some, let's see here. Let me get into this. I'm going to close some of my tabs. I get too many tabs open. I get kind of lost what I have open here. I'm going to try to do this. All right, here we go. Close this tab, and I'll get to this next story. We have some of the economic plan. Okay, and Trump, he's only been in 2 weeks. He's done so much. But now he's getting into some of the economic proposals, which any spending like this has to go through Congress. Let's listen here.
So these are the tax priorities of the Trump administration that the president has laid out for members in that meeting today. No tax on tips.
That'd be interesting how they define tips.
Which is obviously a very public campaign promise that the president made. No tax on seniors' Social Security.
That's good. Someday, not too far in the future, I'll be getting my Social Security.
No tax on overtime pay.
Overtime pay, that's... Yeah, anything can eliminate tasks, I'm for.
Renewing President Trump's 2017 middle-class tax cuts. Again, these are the president's priorities. Adjusting the SALT cap, eliminate all the special tax breaks for billionaire sports team owners, close the carried interest tax deduction loophole, tax cuts for Made in America products. This will be the largest tax cut in history for middle-class working Americans. The president is committed to working with Congress to get this done. So these are the.
So that all sounds good. That was his promise, and Trump is upholding that. So they're going to present that to Congress. That's going to be a key one. And I'm sure that Democrats will start crying that poor little black children are going to die if middle-class people get a tax cut. But I don't think people care anymore. And I think that's going to be, I hope that gets passed. I hope this gets passed. All right. James Bondi, Bondi. She's great. She's Attorney General. And let's listen to what she's up to. And guys, thank you for joining. It's great to have you guys here. If you have a question, I put a link in the chat to call in or send me a super chat or a rant or a power chat. I bet. Let's listen to this here.
And I'm proud to be part of that.
I'm glad to hear that. Let me start with you've cracked down on sanctuary cities. The DOJ has put a pause on all federal funding to sanctuary cities and states.
By the way, the sanctuaries, cities and states, it's a violation of federal law. Cities do not create immigration policies. We have an immigration policy for the United States. We have a way to get into the country legally. I think we allow too many in legally, but that's another subject. But you can't come in illegally. And this isn't radical. Other countries do the same thing. Mexico does not tolerate illegal immigrants. If you're illegal in Mexico, you get kicked out. Like from Guatemala trying to get in, they have a good border patrol. If you're caught, you're deported. There's no one's illegal. Well, in Mexico you are, and most countries, this is how it is. If you guys ever travel to Europe, you can only stay, like I was in Hungary, I can only stay there 90 days at a time. They would have kicked me out. And it's just, this is how countries run. So as a city, you can't say, no, we're going to have people that broke the law and we're going to shelter them here. You don't have that right to do that. In fact, if you do that, you are committing a felony yourself.
Filed a lawsuit against Chicago and the state of Illinois for being a sanctuary city. Am I wrong in my interpretation that a sanctuary city is aiding and abetting in lawbreaking?
Sean, what they're doing is they are choosing illegal aliens over the safety and security of their own citizens and the men and women of law enforcement who are out there trying to protect their citizens. Not only did we sue today the city of Chicago, we sued the state of Illinois, we sued the mayor, we sued the governor, and we sued others. And let me be very clear, if you don't comply with federal law, you're going to be next.
What about those that we now know apparently tipped off the Tren de Aragua?
So what should happen with these politicians is the federal government needs to say, you cannot break federal law. In doing so, you're doing an insurrection. But if you if you harbor illegals, that's a felony. And governor or mayor will throw your ass in prison for a felony. And you won't be the governor or mayor. Simple as. And that will put them in, that would stop this nonsense. Now, what they did initially is they're cutting off all federal funds to these cities to make them, and that'll probably make it work. But we got to show that it is a good thing. All right, this next one, this was a Doge idea, but it's been floating around at a time. I used to be kind of against it, but I'm kind of for it now. It doesn't, it's getting rid of the penny. Report, Doge has proposed eliminating the penny to save the taxpayers $179 million a year. Do you support this? Yeah, I do. Sadly, because when the penny was initially created, a penny you could buy things with. The penny's sort of useless now. And because everything's so expensive, I don't see a reason to keep a penny. And it's just a money loser. And you get pennies everywhere. And, who cares about a penny? Well, maybe Sasha does, but Sasha's Scottish ancestry like me, and so if we see a penny, we'll go chasing after it on the ground. It's our heritage, but in general, pennies are a waste. So I do support getting rid of the penny, and I support getting rid of daylight savings time. I don't want perpetual daylight savings time. That's like the people that were the COVID Karens. I don't want that. I want standard time. That makes more sense. So I want to eliminate daylight savings time, and I'm okay with eliminating the penny. Let's see here. Oh, this is what happened. What was brought up, how they did dox this guy on the Doge team because he did a spicy tweet years ago as a teenager. And then let's listen to this. It was hilarious. And, hang on. I think I got a super chat here. Ryan, we literally can't stop winning. I've been pretty well excited with everything Trump has done. I guess the only thing I have, I didn't really like his Gaza plan, but I don't really think he was serious about it. I think he just throws shit out there. And he clarified he's not going to send troops in. So if we're not going to send troops in, how are we going to take, it's because people are worried, oh, great, we're going to send American troops in to fight for Israel. But he backed off on that. So, okay, I can get over that. All right, let's what's this here? This is CNN, serious news outfit, a 25-year-old.
So this is a 19-year-old high school graduate who has used the unfortunate nickname Big Balls.
So this guy's 19. He's working for Elon Musk. He's brilliant. His nickname online is Big Balls. She's like, oh, it's unfortunate. Look at her, like, this is hilarious.
Online, so that would be one way that we could refer to him. He is now working at Musk's behest inside Doge. And we looked into his background.
And so this is a lady, this bitch. She's supposedly a journalist. But again, all these people, they're being paid by your tax dollars through the USAID. And they see themselves as political commissars, meaning if they don't like your politics, in this case, Elon Musk is finding waste. He's seeing corruption. So she has been tasked not with finding the corruption. No. She's trying to attack the kid named Big Balls that he wrote a spicy tweet once.
And so we found, several notable things, Aaron, one of which is that this individual has founded multiple companies, including one with another unfortunate name, Tesla.Sexy LLC, which he established in 2021. He would have been around 16 years old.
I like the kid.
Now, this LLC controls dozens of web domains.
So, Kara, you hear.
So Big Balls, when he was 16, he already created an LLC. And here's all these hags all upset about it.
For this, and you have known Elon Musk for years. So now you look at these young men who are now in data and in the private information about maybe hundreds of millions of American citizens as young as 19, the big balls here.
Big Balls. This is great.
Katie's talking about. Most of them are in their early 20s. There's an exception I'm going to get to in a minute. I'm curious, though, Kara, how well does even Musk know these young men, do you think?
I have no idea. I think there's no...
Well, he found them. He gets top talent. But one guy he got from Nebraska is a blonde kid, University of Nebraska, and they had a contest. They found these ancient Syrian scrolls. They couldn't figure out the code or to read it. And they put out a challenge like, anyone can break this. They put it on the internet. It'll give you $20,000. And all the top people couldn't figure this out. So this kid, he's in his early 20s, brilliant. He actually figured it out. And Elon Musk says, I want to hire you. And so these are really brilliant guys out there. And they're all men, by the way.
No vetting whatsoever, as you can see, that's taking place. It took Katie and the really great team. Wired has done an astonishing job here. I could make a joke that's probably why he was hired for all this ridiculous nonsense and other nefarious things. But, there's an expression in technology that's not, it's a feature, not.
So these women, they were all upset because his name was Big Balls and he did a spicy tweet, right? So the usual play, and they've done this a lot, these so-called reporters, they act like communists, political commissars. They're like the hall monitors. They're saying these little bitches, they think their job is to tell you what you can think and what you could say. That's what they did. These are the people these were the same Karens that be running up to you, remember during COVID, telling you to pull your mask up. These are these bitter old hags. That's who they are. And there's young gun guys that are figuring this out, and they're just upset because he was called Big Balls, and they didn't like what he said. So like, aha, he said a racist tweet. Aha, we got you. We owned you. You got to fire you now. So that was their game plan. This is how they've always operated. And they thought, oh, well, we won. So this bitch thought she could destroy this kid that's doing amazing things. Big balls. He got in trouble. And this bitch, I found, big research. She did a search on his Twitter feed. And that was the thing. So what is really happening here, this is really great here, is, let me see here. Oh, I got it out of order here. This is, here we go. Yeah, this is her. This is the so-called journalist that doxed the kid. Big balls. Let's see. Woke journalist Catherine Long, who doxed Doge Shafter, has ties to USAID. No surprise there. So she's got ties to your tax dollars. Wall Street Journal reporter with connections to USAID just doxed a Doge team member and got him fired. But we have a good follow-up to this story, is that he actually got this rehired, and part of the reason is because of J.D. Vance. And let me just see here. I'm going to go this in order. I think I got this out of order here. And this is so overdue, and I am white-pilled about J.D. Vance, because the Vice President of the United States, are you going to tell him to apologize for normalize India hate before his rehire? So this guy was against Indian immigration, which makes sense. And J.D. Vance, who married in India, said, for the sake of both of our kids, grow up. Racist trolls on the internet, while offensive, don't threaten my kids. You know what does? A culture that denies grace to people who make mistakes. A culture that encourages congressmen to act like whiny children. I would say bitches. So what happened here is J.D. Vance, there was a poll here, and I knew what Elon Musk was doing. So the guy, they're used to like, oh, okay, you said something bad, you're fired. This is how the political commissars operate. RAMZPAUL said something naughty, we got to get him fired. This is what they do, right? But Elon Musk said, hey, should we bring back the Doge Shafter who made an inappropriate statement and via a now deleted pseudonym? And they did a poll. And 78% of the people voted, yeah, let's bring him back, because people are tired of this bullshit cancel culture. And J.D. Vance chimed in. Here's my view. I obviously disagree with some of Elz's posts, but I don't think stupid social media activity should ruin a kid's life. We shouldn't reward journalists who try to destroy people ever. So I say bring him back. If he's a bad dude or a terrible member of the team, fire him for that. And Elon says, fine. So he's back. He's back. The bitch, it didn't work. Fuck you, bitch. You tried to, I'd like to see get her ass shut down. Maybe her bank account's deleted. Fucking bitch. And her ties to USAID. Maybe she needs to be doxxed with everything. How would she like that? We need to turn the table on these people. This is a huge part. This is huge part of the cultural war. Because now we have the vice president said, I don't care. Some kid says some supposedly racist thing. I don't give a fuck. Who cares? We're America. Why is this bitch, supposedly a reporter for the Wall Street Journal, running around trying to destroy kids' life? Who made her fucking this thought police of America? Who does she think she is? And this is the problem. It's usually women that think they need to try to monitor your speech and all this. And it was great. It was really great to see that happening. And thank you for Elon Musk for hiring him back. And thank you for J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance will definitely have my vote if he runs for president. I think he's outstanding. And it is really good to see. So good news there. Good news there. All right, let's see here. Oh, this was kind of funny. A couple of these old hags were trying to get into the Doge headquarters. Let's take a look at this.
This man here.
This is the security for Doge, and he's like, "Oh God, I'm having to deal with these 90 IQ people."
We are members of Congress.
We are members of Congress.
They're blocking us.
They're blocking us. Oh, hey.
This man here, who is a federal employee, he told us.
He's not.
Are you a federal employee?
No, he's just like, God, I don't get paid enough to deal with you low IQ people.
Yes. No, he said he's a federal employee. We pay him. We raise money to make sure that we have a Department of Education. Everybody that's hired at the
Oh, they're trying to get into Doge at the education department. He's a guard, so you know you can't get in.
Department of Education are here because we pay for them to be here. He's standing here today, blocking the door, and he can't give us a good reason why he's blocking this door.
Make sure they see. Were you told, are you making this decision to stand in front of this door on your own behalf, on behalf of the Department of Education, or were you told to come out here and block members of Congress and go at the desk?
Doing my job.
So everybody's
What is that?
We're doing our jobs.
We're trying to save you.
It's
non-responsive. Show them your ID. Were you told to stand here, or did you decide to stand?
This guy's got the look like, oh my God. I understand the look. All of us have had that look dealing with these people. It's like, Jesus. It's just exasperated. Why am I having to deal with these babbling low IQ savages? God.
Here and block members of Congress from entering the Department of Education.
to federal buildings.
He's a security contractor.
We're allowed in there.
So a private security contractor
Do you know who members of Congress
blocking
are?
members of
We're
Congress.
all members of Congress.
Maybe he doesn't understand. Do you
A private
understand who
security
members of Congress
contractor
are?
is making the decision to block members of Congress from a public access entrance.
I don't think he knows.
You have the authority as a private security contractor to block members of Congress. That has been knighted and granted to you.
You have to at least let us go to the desk.
Yeah. Sending the goons out. Oh my, look at that. Who told you to do this? Open the door.
I see you now.
So do you understand who members of Congress are?
I got it, yeah.
Well, and you don't.
Yeah, I got it. I don't give a shit. You guys are idiots.
Who are we then?
I got the job to do.
You don't care. We have a job to do.
We're not dangerous people. We're not. I don't know. We're security. There are no thieves and thugs out here. We're members of Congress. We're parents. We're teachers.
There's our ID, right there.
We were elected.
You guys are ID. Look at my ID.
This is our job.
This is our job. We're doing our job.
Oh wow.
You're
That look. We've all been there. We've been all there. It's like Jesus, having to deal with these people.
Securing this building against who? Members of Congress.
That was excellent. I love that guy. That was a great clip. That's so funny. It doesn't even get more funny. You know, they're whining and, you know, those are the clowns of Congress. It's hilarious. Okay. More and more winning keeps going on, though. Hopefully we do more and more of that. We don't allow these people to run amok. I like that. That was really good. Yeah, that guy was probably thinking what I'm thinking. Like, oh, geez. All right. Let's see here. If you read my mind. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. All right, here we go. Yes, Donald Trump announced he signed an executive order to the end the push of paper straws back to plastic. Thank you, Mr. President. Paper straws suck. No pun intended. I like plastic straws. So, yeah, way to go there. Another thing, this has happened. I talk about winning. It never stops, all the goodness. It's hard to get through all the news. It's like I do the show every day and I can't get through everything. The guy's just like, he's just non-stoppable. 78 years old. Breaking. Trump has disbanded drag shows from being targeted at children at the Kennedy Center in District of Columbia. That's where these male homosexuals will dress up like women. And this was always a long-term thing that deep in the bowels of like the Castro district of San Francisco, in the basement somewhere, at night, homosexuals would get together and some would dress up as women and who knows what they would do in the men's room. Okay. Whatever you think about that, you can make an argument. Well, as long as they keep it down there and out of sight of kids. But these people were targeting kids for obvious reasons. Trump says, no, you're not doing that. And to punish them for doing so, Trump dissolved the board and he himself is now the chairman. I guess he has authority to do this because it's a government thing. So the Kennedy Center chairman, right, that decides all these acts is now Donald Trump. So the drag queens, they got to go do they need to go back to the Castro district and go into their little bars at night and do their little whatever they do. But yeah, not here. So that was good news too. That was really good news. And getting back to the Pentagon, here's Trump talking more about the Pentagon. Yeah, they're going to be up next. So we're going to see a lot of stuff about the crap that's been going on.
Money, Peter, and we're going to be doing more and more. And we're going to be doing more and more of that. We're going to be looking at Department of Education. We're going to be looking at even our military. We're going to be looking at tremendous amounts of money, Peter, being spent on things that bear no relationship to anything and have no value. We're talking about trillions of dollars. It will be, in the end, trillions of dollars being absolutely wasted and perhaps illegally. I would say certainly in many cases illegally, but perhaps illegally overall. And I'm very proud of the job that this group of young people, generally young people, but very smart people, they're doing. They're doing it at my insistence. It would be a lot easier not to do it, but we have to take some of these things apart to find the corruption. We found tremendous corruption.
So good news, Trump. The media was trying to split Trump and Musk, but that's not happening. So that is good news. Let's see here. A couple other, one more news domestic here. This is foreign actually. This is Trump, his negotiating style. Remember, he threatened to impose a tariff on EU, their European Union. And guess what the European Union decided to do? They decided to lower their tariffs on American car imports as a strategic move to prevent a trade war with the United States. So they're decreasing the tariff from 10% to 2.5%. That's drastic cut. So thank you, Donald Trump. He was able to do that just by threatening them with a tariff. So Trump is just, he's taking names and kicking ass. Let's just face it. He's doing a great job. I definitely love to see this. Not everyone's happy though. This Democrat, she's a body plus influencer. And it's sad. I hope you guys can live with yourselves. I hope you guys that supported and voted for Trump can live with yourself. Democrat influencer Olivia Giuliana claims she lost 50 pounds because she can't afford to eat since Trump won the election. I'm actually down 50 pounds because I can't afford to eat in Trump's economy. Oh, they should put her on a campaign. Oh. So I know, all teared up, get all teared up. That is sad. That is sad. And the crazies are still out there. And we have this one crazy in Michigan. It's a Michigan state congresswoman. This is crazy stuff. Take a look at this. Michigan State Representative Potsky sterilized herself to avoid pregnancy in Donald Trump's America. She fears she loses access to reproductive care. This is good. The shit libs are taking themselves out of the gene pool. Thank God. Way to go. Another win. Because if she had kids, she would just have them do sex changes anyway. You know that. So thank God she sterilized herself. I would like to see us to get made like Canada. Maybe some of them could go that route. So really good route there. This is good news. And thank you. I got a generous super chat. Great show again, Ramsey Paul. Well, thank you, Joe Marks. Thank you for supporting it. Yeah, the audience makes it great. I really do appreciate it. And we'll be back just as a reminder on Monday. I now take weekends off. And unless I do a night owl show. We did a night owl show just a couple days ago with Sasha. It was a lot of fun. But those are fun. But yeah. Rawhouse, $2. Rams, who used to hitch their wagon to this guy? Oh yeah, that's a tweet I made. Kanye kind of went nutty and said some stuff. Let me see if I can even bring that up on let's see. Yeah, okay. I guess I could show this on YouTube. So I always have to worry about what I can show on YouTube. Kanye West, you remember the man that was supposed to be president? The Nick Fuentes was like his campaign manager or something. And then he had one of his meltdowns. I think he's off his meds. But RAMZPAUL, he's educating people about the JQ. Yeah, he's looking like an idiot. It's funny, they always told me, and I didn't know much about Kanye, but oh man, he's a genius. He's a genius. And I'm like, really? Really? Because I've listened to Kanye and I just don't see it. Like 200 years ago, he'd be singing spirituals in the cotton field. That's what I see him as. I don't really see this genius. Maybe I'm missing it. But he gets off and he has his little mental breakdowns. He did marry, like, I think a Jewish woman just recently, but he had another breakdown now. So, yeah. But that helps our cause, man. Yeah, I'm sure it really helps our cause there. Having a schizophrenic black guy rant about Hitler. That's good optics. That's what we need. That's going to educate people. Way to go. Way to go. Way to go. Let's see here. There's so much here. Let me see. What else do I got here? We got almost done for the show for the week. This has been a lot of fun. Let me just go real briefly. And if you guys have questions over the weekend, just please send them in. And Monday morning, I will get them in. I will get to it. Sasha sent me this link this morning, actually. So let's take a look at this. This is dogs in a pool. Dogs in the pool. Those dogs love it. Yeah, wow, that's pretty crazy. My little dog Button would not like the pool. She'd be scared of all those dogs in the pool. That's pretty cute, though. Pretty cute. Guys, it's been a fun show again. I had a great time with you. And I will be back Monday at 11 a.m. So I'm sure a ton of stuff. Elon Musk and Donald Trump, they do not stop. They're not like Joe Biden that sleeps all the time. They're going to be doing stuff all weekend. So I'm sure I'll have a lot of news on Monday. So thanks, guys, for being here. It's been a great week. And I look for next week's Halloween, Valentine's Day week. So I hope you guys have a great week next week. And I will share it with you. So talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.